What is up, Hope Online family? How y'all doing? So, as you all know, we have today the Boy to Man Conference. I told you all about this in today's service as well, and it's been up for about 3 weeks. So we're about to start, and we're going to start today with speaker Mike Forrester. But before we start, I want to tell you all that three of the other speakers might not be here, so you may not be able to hear from them. Um, so it, so we do apologize. I apologize on my part because they were scheduled to be here, but that didn't work out. So we're just gonna have probably just me and Mike Forrester here today, uh, speaking, and we miss out. I miss out on a wonderful few messages. Like we were going to have school, and we were going to have the whole financial stability thing, but they're not here with this to say. So we're going to have my first speaking on leaving the past in the past, and if you want, you can touch on any other topics that you would like to. All right. So you ready? I present to you all Mike Forrester, life coach and host of Living Fearless Today podcast.
Well, Darrion, first, thank you for inviting me, allowing to come and be here with you, man. This is an amazing opportunity. Really wish that I had the opportunity back when, you know, even into my 30s to hear this kind of stuff, and from all the different, sectors that you set up. So, man, I really appreciate you investing the time, giving of yourself, setting this up, you and your team. So thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. All right, I'm gonna let you have the floor. Thank you.
Sounds good, my friend. So let's talk about leaving your past in the past. And first, let's set out that your past is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on what has gone on, right? Some of us just have had a rough go of it. And that was my story. When, in my childhood, that was where I came through physical, mental, and emotional abuse. And that painted the way that I saw myself and the way I saw my world. And from that, that's where my decisions were made. Other people have had fantastic childhoods and they've had the support and encouragement. So when we're talking about leaving your past in the past, it's not that the past is necessarily a bad thing. It's going to be a training tool, right? You and I go to the gym, we go to the basketball court, we go to school, work, whatever we're doing, those places are training grounds. And just like those training grounds, we have the opportunity to learn from the things that have gone on, those experiences, the feelings, the thoughts, the messages that people have told us. It doesn't make it okay for the bad things to have occurred. But the fact is, they did occur. And it's what do we do with those? So let's take, for instance, if I have an experience where, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, teacher, somebody that's in authority that I respect says something about me negatively, and it doesn't set well, that isn't necessarily something that I should hold on to and identify with. That doesn't become, hey, who is Mike? It's something that I can take away from it. Some people want to give you advice, right? And it can come as a criticism, a harsh thing, or it can come as guidance. The important thing is to differentiate, because Darrion could tell you something that he's trying to help you with, right? As encouragement or guidance. Hey, watch out for this opportunity, this thing ahead of you. and give you that wisdom to move from. Whereas somebody else might say it and it's coming as a critical voice. Don't take that critical voice to heart. Okay. That's a hard thing to do. And I get it. I mean, that was what directed me. The difference is when I'm in the middle of that stuff versus when I'm 30 years old. How would you say that as a 10-year-old, am I able to really set my own safe boundaries? Am I able to control my environment? No, not really, right? We think back to when we were 10. We have our parents, we have our family, we have our school, our teachers, different people in authority around us. And those people are really set there to create a safe environment. And so we're kind of at the mercy of what they do and who they are. Whereas when I'm 30 years old, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. How much of my parents or the teachers and their what they've said, what they've done, how much of that has a direct correlation to what I'm doing today? How much of it am I responsible for? And that was the part I was missing out on. And I would encourage you to look and see, hey, am I still blaming what went on, or am I taking responsibility for where I am today? As I went through, I needed to look at, yes, I'm now, 30 years old. You can put yourself at whatever age you're at and go, am I responsible for the decision I'm making? Now, as a 30-year-old, would you say that I should have been responsible for the decisions I'm making? I would assume that you would, and you would be correct, because as a 30-year-old, I'm an adult. I'm able to handle my actions and my decisions on my own. And so if I make something based on previous experiences, which is what most of us will do, then I'm not making necessarily the wisest decisions, right? So let's kind of step back in this, and how can I be responsible? How can I be aware of what I'm doing? And the first part is to self reflect. And that means just to be aware of what's going on. So I can look at the environment around me, see the situations, be aware of my thoughts and how I'm reacting to those decisions. And then to be able to look and go, what in my past determined my action at this point in time? So, um, as a child, I grew up where food was kept away and it wasn't something accessible to me. Well, as an adult, I was then making sure that my fridge was always filled with food, that my pantry, was overflowing. I had a freezer. Now, that may seem normal to you, but the thing was, I was storing food in there as a sense of security for myself because before I didn't have access to it. So, would it seem normal to have food in there 5 years later when it's gone bad? Absolutely not, because I don't know about you, but personally, I am not wanting to eat 5-year-old freezer burned, hot dogs or hamburgers or steaks even. I want a certain level of freshness. But overruling those, normal logical decisions was this need, this desire, this like subconscious, I'm not aware of it, but the decision is being made. And that's the thing that we really need to get a grasp on in that self-awareness is what decisions are we making that we're not aware of. And that was my problem, was I was hoarding food, which is what it came down to give myself a feeling of security. The food was available, there was plenty of it. Now the equation, the part of it that was being missed was it wasn't usable, right? So as you're going through your day-to-day processes, as you're going through, your activities, is being aware of why you're making the decisions. Are they a good decision, because if you continue to make the same kind of decisions that are getting you results that you don't like, why is it that you're making that decision? If I'm, ending up with the same type of guy, boyfriend, girlfriend, in a relationship, um, what am I, looking for that's getting me to that point? What is it that I'm missing, or what decisions am I making in the beginning to pair up? And often we can take it back and look to see, hey, there was this thing that went on in my childhood, and I'm making this decision about, a specific type of person, and then you're in that relationship with them. Um, so when there's a repeated pattern, that's a great thing to dig into. As much as we may want to avoid it and go, oh, these people that, I'm just not ending up with the right, person. Can't say spouse, but the right person that you're getting into a relationship with. Don't just automatically blame it on them. Look to see what kind of things, if this has become a habit and a pattern, what is it that you're looking to that's gone on that you're just kind of attracting, you're accepting? What is there in your past? So for one of my friends, a guy that I coach, I should probably say that all the guys that I coach are friends. They become friends. Um, and so one of the guys I was coaching, successful professional, um, but in it, he was seeing that he would go through and, get a certain amount of level of success and then lose it, and then get it and then lose it. And the problem went back to in his childhood that while he wasn't taught this, that money's bad, it was the belief in the family that they had to be in poverty, that was um, the best way to live out your life, right? And so there's this belief that he's not conscious of that's stopping him from succeeding at the level that he wants to continue to. And it wasn't until he looked back at this and was able to say, hey, here's this limiting factor, this belief that I'm holding on to that continues to tie me back to the stuff that I learned as a child. And this is why I'm continuing to almost like self-destruct, right? He's capping himself off. So it might be if you're taking a test in school, why can't I get A's? And somebody, could be a parent, could be a teacher, may have told you at some point, you're not an A student. And so when you start doing really well, you'll then self-sabotage and, bring that grade back down, which that's not a reflection on you. That's a belief that you're just not aware of that's driving your actions. Okay. So look for those messages that you've been told. Um, you're not smart enough. You're not lovable. You'll never amount to anything. You're not good at reading. You're not creative. You're a mistake. You're a burden. You're not intelligent. Those different things. You'll always be poor. Those things that have been spoken negatively. Did you buy into it? Do you believe it? As much as you may hate it, it doesn't mean that you don't believe it. But are you able to see stuff that occurs that just when, um, let's say, you're going along and you succeed, right? You have done really well, and then right after that, you do something that gets you in trouble, something that brings your grade down, takes your money away, gets you grounded, whatever the case may be, something that takes you away from where you were to then being down lower. So that kind of negative consequence, that self-destructive pattern, what is it behind there that's causing you to then act out? And it's not like a conscious temper tantrum. I'm not calling you like, hey, you're a 2-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. But I saw that same pattern in my behavior. So I would do something really great with my wife, and then we would turn around and have an argument. Or I would do really well at work just to mess up on a project that came afterwards. I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something not to go right. And then the belief behind that was, see, I told you so. You're not smart enough for that. You're not made to be a manager. You're not meant to be successful. All these things that people had spoken, I believed. And so it was a matter of looking at those and going, no, that's not the truth. I have these abilities. So, this goes back to the whole thing with self-reflection. But then you're affirming things, right? And so when people hear affirmations, sometimes they'll look and go, you know what, that's a bunch of woo-woo, hooey, it's not real. Well, if you think about it, you are doing negative self-affirmations, like when you go, yeah, I'm not smart enough. Oh, that was stupid. Those things are just negative affirmations that we speak to ourselves without giving them that definition. And so when we talk about ourselves, we want to be speaking truth. I'm not telling you, hey, go out there and say you're the GOAT, you're the greatest of all time. But I do want you to be honest. I want you to be truthful. None of us excel at everything. Okay. If you look at Bill Gates or, like a Michael Jordan or Elon Musk, none of them are excelling at every area. They know where they're strong, they focus on it, and they have a community or a team around them that are gifted where they're weak. And that's an important thing to have around us, is friends and community that are safe and able to speak to us about that kind of stuff. So I may, if I was feeling like, hey, I'm not a good husband, I'll never amount to a good father, stuff along those lines, then I could ask other men that are around me, hey, do you see this? Like, how do you see me as a father? How do you see me as a dad? I can ask my wife if the relationship is in a safe place. At one time, mine wasn't. I couldn't have gone there. But there were men around me that I could. And so start with what you have that's in a safe place, and just ask for insight from people that do have that kind of life you want, right? So if you're looking and going, hey, I'm getting ready to go off to college, who do you know that's in college or has gone to college and did really well with that? If you're getting into finances and your family didn't have finances, like you came from poverty, like I did, I had to learn how to handle my money. And so who do you know that handles money well? If you don't know of anybody, what are books that are out there? What are podcasts? Darrion's got somebody that's coming on later to talk about money. Look for people that have succeeded in those areas. It's just like, are you going to take basketball advice from me? And I shoot bricks, so please don't. Or are you going to take advice from like a Michael Jordan or somebody that has excelled in the area? Both of us would be taking coaching from Michael. Let's just be honest here. So I'm not the one to coach you. So when you're looking for financial coaching, go to somebody that's good with finances. When you're looking for relational coaching, go to somebody that's good with relationships. Whatever you're wanting to improve upon, look for people that are around you or that you have access to indirectly through podcasts, books, teachings. It's like whatever's the area that you want to improve upon, look for resources, look for people, build the communities. This isn't something we do alone. I did not get from being an abusive, repeat abusive father to where I am now without input and direction from other men, from friends. I had to ask for guidance where I wasn't strong. If I'm looking to get from Kansas to California, I'm going to ask somebody who knows how to go that route, not somebody that's going to Florida. They know how to get there. That's fantastic. If I go to Florida, I'll ask them. But if I'm looking for somebody going to California, I'm going to ask for guidance from them. Okay. The other thing is that if you've had stuff that's gone on in your past and it's not positive, that it's left, trauma, hurt, um, just that you went through abuse, or just bad experiences. The thing is to realize that those experiences are exactly that. They're bad experiences. It doesn't make it a reflection on you. And for a long time, I thought that I brought that stuff on myself, that it was my fault. And it's not. How much do you think, like my kids when they were 5, brought on the anger that I was when I was 30? It was from me, not from them. But when we're that 5-year-old, we take on the responsibility and carry that weight. So look at it and just go, yeah, that wasn't a good experience. That wasn't, um, that wasn't healthy. It doesn't mean it was okay. It means that it's not your responsibility. And the thing from it, and this is one thing that a lot of us battle with, is being able to forgive. Now, forgiveness doesn't mean that it was okay that that person did that. It doesn't mean that um, that was an unhealthy or a traumatic experience. It just means you're releasing that tie that it has over you. And so for the longest time, I hated my mom and dad. And I would allow that anger and those experiences I had, gone through, to paint my future. And it didn't work out well for my children, as you can imagine. Well, it wasn't, their grandparents that they were experiencing this problem. It was me. And so I took responsibility in it to correct myself, to create a healthy environment. And that's the thing. We will continue to carry that stuff on unless we give forgiveness. It doesn't mean forgetting. It just means that we're forgiving what was done in an unhealthy, way, and we're not letting it hold us back so that we can move forward to who we want to be and the future we want. The other part is to not just forgive, but to forgive ourselves, and then to give ourselves grace, right? In that environment, that situation, and to be able to move forward. And it takes time. So don't be thinking, hey, yep, I forgave him, I'm one and done. There is stuff that has gone on that I still work through. Now, I've gone through things where, both of my parents have passed. And so I now have their ashes. Where I'm at now, I now want to honor them in a way of giving, scattering their ashes. Whereas before, I'll be honest, I probably would have wanted to get revenge or, inflict some kind of pain for the pain I received. And so I hope that makes sense. And I'm not saying that that's where you're at. Just understand that lack of forgiveness can impact us in a negative way. So I would encourage you, move through that and let go of those ties that are holding you back. The other thing is to have gratitude for where you're at and what you've gone through. It doesn't mean to be like, hey, that bad experience, I'm so happy it happened. Not at all. We're not delusional. But from those experiences, it's crafted and designed you and I for who we are and how we are. Okay. So understand from that, I became stronger because of what I went through. From that strength, I can then pass it on to my children in a way that I wasn't able to before. And you have that same opportunity. You're going to interact with friends, you're going to interact with family. You have that opportunity to be an encourager, to uplift others. So we don't get to do that if we're holding on to that unforgiveness and looking almost like Eeyore. If you guys don't know who Eeyore is, watch a couple episodes of Winnie the Pooh. He's the little dude that's always down, never seems to have a smile on his face. That was where I was. And that's unfortunately where many of us can be. So, and it's not intentional. It just happens to be with the perspective that we have. But that stuff's what's hold us in our past. And so I encourage you, self-reflect, forgive, what's going on, and that includes yourself. Give yourself grace, and then being able to, have gratitude. Be grateful for the things that you have now. Um, the thing that's going to get you from where you were and where you are to where you want to be is hope. Oftentimes we will like almost create a mantra, like a saying or something that just comes really easy. That's This is who I am. I am who I am. I'll never be any different. That's that's not true. Okay. Realize you have strength. You are worth it. You are intelligent, and you can make the change. So hold hope for you and your future. Sometimes it's going to be hard and it's going to be dark and frustrating. I get it. That's what that friends and community is for, to help lift you up and pull you along when you don't have that ability. So um, again, hope. Okay. Having hope is created by knowing what we want. So when I didn't understand what future I wanted, all I could see was the pain of where I'm at with what, this lacks, and then what the pain of my past. Those two things were like quicksand. Hope is almost like a crane. Um, it lifts you out of that muck and mire, the stuff that keeps you trapped, and gets you to a different place. When you're happy, you have joy, you feel uplifted, you're able to make progress. I mean, you think about it. You're able, like the day before you go on vacation, you get stuff done that takes you so much less time, right? So think about, where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Look at those things, think on them. You're creative, I promise you that, because if you're anything like I was creative in figuring out how many different situations would turn out negative. Spin that around and start looking at, hey, if I did this, if I had this conversation, where could it get to? Okay, what do I need to think about to get me to there? If you want to be an A student, what do you want to do? How do you need to get there? Who do you need to ask for help? Envision that stuff, look at it, because I promise you, you're looking at where you've been and where you are, and the difference of, where your friends are at and the people you see. You're already aware of it. So look at the positive, look at the future, look at the hope, and then focus on that more than resonating on the negative things and the what you don't have and the negative experiences that you've gone through. And we talked about the responsibility. Realize that you and I have more power to direct things than, we may be admitting, because it's scary when you think about, hey, I don't have that job. I don't have that grade because I haven't been willing to ask for help or put in the work or to push myself outside of the comfort zone, because growth hurts. I mean, you think about it when, if you're on football team or you're on the basketball team, man, running hurts, but getting into shape, is amazing. It does great things for you. If you have an out of shape team versus a team that's in shape, who do you think is going to win? It's usually the in shape team, because they can run the court faster. They can you know, run the field. And so it's the same thing in life, that as we take responsibility, we put in the work. Okay. And we've talked about some of that here, that those things get us further down the road. I'm not saying it's easy. Please understand, it takes work, it takes time. You need to be, that's where the grace comes in. So be patient with yourself, forgiving of yourself, and get back at it. Be tenacious, pursue it. Look for the people that are going in the same direction. And, I did when I was younger and, in my 30s, I was looking for the people that were going in the same direction. Unfortunately, it wasn't in a healthy direction. So I was looking for the people that were, woe is me, hey, blame it on my wife, my kids, aren't behaving. They were struggling in those areas. And so Look for people that are going in the direction of being in a healthy, positive environment and playing those roles well. So again, reflect, be aware of what's going on, spend the time. It's, you're confronting stuff you don't necessarily, it's not comfortable, and you're not necessarily going to lean into it, but it pays dividends. So put in the work, self-reflect, forgive those that, you've experienced negative times in the past and even in the present, and forgive yourself. Okay. Because when you don't get to the points you want, you will be frustrated with yourself. So be willing to extend forgiveness to yourself. And that may be the hardest one. It's most challenging for a lot of people I know. It was for me. Give yourself grace, keep doing your best, keep putting it out there, and continue moving forward. Gratitude. What do you have to be grateful for today? That will, it's almost like nitrous oxide in your car. It just gets you going further and faster. Hope. Look towards a positive future. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Set goals, create habits. There's a lot more to it, but have hope for the future and what's coming up. And then take responsibility, because you and I have the power to bring about change in ourselves and around us and what's going on. And I mean, if you think about it, you go to the store, you say hello to somebody, your words have power. So don't consider yourself not in a position of power or responsibility. Take responsibility and start today. Don't wait till Monday. I know it's tomorrow. You can start today. Start by self-reflecting, and just keep putting a little bit out there. That constant, like just small steps of improvement are what gets you to having those life-changing experiences and living that life that you want. So I hope that helps, my friends, and so grateful to be able to speak with you. If I can be help outside of this, feel free to reach out to me on social media at Hi Coach Mike. Again, that's Hi Coach Mike, and or you can go to hicoachmike.com. Reach out. I'm happy to help. This is an amazing thing. You being here with Darrion for the Boys to Men conference. Great first step. Continue taking the steps just one at a time. And I look forward to seeing you at the top, my friend.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Mike, for speaking here at the Boy to Man conference. That was so powerful. You really just helped me out a lot. And as Mike said, guys, you can follow him on social media at Hi Coach Mike, or go to hicoachmike.com. We're going to take a 5-minute intermission here, and then we'll come back. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them. So again, we'll take this intermission. Thank you very much for joining us. And we're back. Thank you all once again for joining us for the Boy to Man Conference first annual. Um, and again, thank you, Mike, for joining us in this conference. It's always wonderful having you and being able to collaborate with you. So, as right now, it is my turn to speak, and I'm going to speak on keeping God in your life as you go along in life. In life, as we know, as we all know, there's a lot of peer pressure. Um, and at this moment, I'm really feeling it at my age, the peer pressure um, of life. So I want to talk to y'all and say that you're going to have a lot of peer pressure. It's going to be a lot that you're going to go through. Being okay, like this hanging with this crew, or doing the right thing. Some people probably criticize you for doing the right thing. Um, so I want to talk to you about in a lot of things that I face right now is being able to keep God in my life as I go along. Like that's it's hard because I face this pressure of being too churchy, as a lot of people like to say. And I was listening to pastor, as you all know, a lot of you know I attend Grace Community Church um, on Detroit's East Side, Morris Road. And Pastor Doug, the lead pastor of the church, was saying that you're going to experience that, and um, that it's okay if you're not hanging with that crew. You're not going to have as many friends, or you're not going to be as popular as you'd like to be. If you're going to keep God in your life. And the thing is, I want to add to what he said there. It's true. You're not going to be as popular. You're not going to be as popular as you probably want to be. I'm not as, but the decision to keep God in your life can be so pleasure. You know, it can really help in life because if we don't have God in our life, then what do we have, right? I want you all to understand that keeping God in your life is not a bad thing. People are going to try to encourage you and say, "Well, that's not too good. That God's in your life. That's not. You're not going to have any friends or any of that." But I want to encourage you right now. Like this is all I want to come on here and say that it's important to keep God in your life, and it's okay if you don't have friends or as many friends, but if we can have a community. So if you have a community of people who can pray with you, can read your Bible with you, who can encourage you when you're sad, that's the kind of friends that we need. That's my vision of popularity. Being able to have people around you, not who's going to put you down, not who's going to laugh at you when you're down, but who's going to encourage you when you're down and when you're sad and make you feel better, right? Um, Not to encourage you to do the wrong things. Um, in other words, not to encourage you to lie, not encourage you to skip class. There are many things that I could speak on of how people would encourage you to only do bad. And if there's somebody in your life that's encouraging you to just do bad, then that's the wrong person in your life. You need to let them go. Um, because I'm pretty sure Mike here. I'm pretty sure he's had to let some people go out of his life. It's because it's going to be hard to let them out. It's going to be hard to just say I'm done with you. But once you do it, you feel better because you've let all of it go. You've let that I can say that burden of having somebody who's always negative or not um or wants you to always do wrong, having the wrong people around you, it can feel so much better at the end, right? So as we grow, because I'm growing as well, so as we grow and go, keep God in your life. And and keeping your life by just praying. If it's nothing but 5 minutes, just praying and reading your Bible 5 minutes. That's it. Read your Bible for 5 minutes. Pray for 5 minutes. Right, or just sit in silence for 5 minutes and just think. It's imperative that we do these things, right? And as hard as it might be, as hard as it might be, you got to do it. And Mike actually he put a comment in. Absolutely, yes, I have. Unfortunately, not everyone wants to see us change, and that's okay. I do need to take responsibility and decide who to keep close and who to release in love. That is so true. That is very true because we we need people to see us changing, to accept that we're changing, to um and to release the ones who's not. Like we're changing, right? Like I don't care how old you are. You can be 100 and you're still changing and you're growing spiritually. I like to call it spiritual maturity. It's like you may be you can be 5, you can be 10, 12, 20, 100, 50, 60, 70. However old you are, if you're if you if you are in love with God, if you have this relationship with God, or you want to have this relationship with God, we're always growing more and more spiritually every time we read the Bible, every time we pray, every time we just sit in silence and ask God to speak to us at that moment. We're growing spiritually. And as you grow, you're leaving the stagnant life of sin. Stagnant life of sin. You're leaving that old thing. You're going to hear my dog, but you're leaving that old thing. You're leaving those burdens. You're leaving all of the temptation. This is temptations now. We live in a crazy world. We've been in the pandemic for what, 2 years? I think it's going to be 3 soon, I believe. But we've been in pandemic for so long. We have had these last few years that have been crazy, right? We live in a crazy society who's based now off of temptation and pressure, right? But if we just can relieve ourselves from all of that pressure and go back to the center of everything, we can go to God. And that right there, that can lead to so much. That can lead to so much in your spiritual life and guidance, and you will be so just what's the word I'm looking for? You can be relieved. And in this first annual Boy to Man conference, I have to say my anxiety was up there because like this is the biggest conference ever for me. Well, at this time, it's the biggest conference, and it's about affecting people and impacting lives. So that's the one of the pressures that I have was that this was gonna fail. That this whole thing was just gonna be a bust on my part, right? Um, and I was thinking, just before the conference started, I was thinking like, what if nobody even watches? Like, what if it's just nothing? And I want you to understand that's Satan talking to you. If you hear that, that is Satan talking to you. You need to get that away from you right now, right there, like nip in the bud, as my grandmother likes to say. Um, she likes you gotta nip in the bud right there. But you have to just get that out right there. Um, when you hear Satan, when you hear that in your head, that this is not going to work, or that idea isn't good enough, or you're not good enough, as Mike said, or you may not, you may not feel up to the part of what you want to do or what your responsibility is. If people are telling you, you know what, listen, you're not good enough for that, and you know that, and you just let it go. Try again, and you get it next time. You do better next time, right? It's not all the time just giving up. It's not about giving up. I mean, if you listen to what somebody else saying and you just give up on that one thing, then you're just that's what I like to call failure. If you are willing to give up on something because somebody else said that you weren't good enough for that or you couldn't do that, that's just plain failure to me. But if you can take what other people are saying about you and what other people and the pressure and the peer pressure of other people, you can take that and you can reverse it. You can make it something good. You can do what others say you couldn't do. That is the biggest level of success ever. Money doesn't count, clothes don't count, shoes don't count. It is about being able to do what others say you can't, being able to do what others say is impossible. And I want you to know right now that whoever is saying it's impossible, God is in control and He can do almighty things. And whatever is impossible, He is possible. I want you to say it to yourself right now. As Mike said, affirmations. What is impossible is possible. Say it to yourself. Because I got a feeling it right now. Somebody's watching this and it's like it's impossible to do something. And anything that you do, you can do anything you put your mind to. As that is one of the most famous sayings. You can do anything you put your mind to. And if you can just believe for yourself, that can be the most wonderful thing ever. So pretty much just say that to yourself. I can do the impossible. I can do anything I put my mind to. The impossible is possible. What other people are saying about me, I can reverse it, flip it, and then make it something better. I can succeed off of what others are saying. Um, because if we just sit, they say you're not good enough to go to that college. You're not good enough to get into high school. You're not good. You're never going to become a famous actor. You're never going to become the president. You'll never get out of this. You're always going to be in financial debt. Right? So it's like, if I can listen to all of those things and I can fail, because failing is giving up, like I said before. So if I can take all them things and I can give up off of it and I can fail off of it, it's really just, it's not a good thing at all. And that's not what I like to call keeping God in your life. Now I can see if God said, you know what, that's not what you need to be doing right now. I got something better for you. But if he's saying go, then go. And what other people are saying shouldn't matter at that point. So at this minute, we have to go ahead and end this conference. It has been wonderful to have you all. And thank you, Mike, for speaking once again. It's always wonderful to be able to collaborate with you and have you here at Hope Online. And guys, just take this information that you've gathered today. Affirmations. Keep the leaving the past in the past. Pretty much just whatever's hurt you and just leave it there. Like, carry on, keeping God in your life no matter what, not listening to what other people say. From the two speakers today, take those things and keep them in your life. I don't care how old you are, keep them in your life because they could be very significant to everything you could ever imagine. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for tuning in. It's been wonderful to have you all here today. And we hope to see you at the next event, which I hope to see you at the next event. So have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays if you won't come back next for Christmas Eve and Christmas service. And thank you once again.